Hello everyone, thanks for tuning into today's second video. We're doing Strat Watch episode 4 for today's second video. So this video would normally be released on a Wednesday, but of course Wednesday was Christmas Day, so we rolled it over to today, Friday. And we're going to bring you up to date with all the latest stratospheric developments. We're going to look at forecast data for the next couple of weeks and then extending out into a more extended range. And this year for Strat Watch, we're doing a review every week of the classic cold winter. This week, we're going to review the daddy of cold winters, 1962-1963, from a stratospheric point of view. So it's going to be absolutely epic, and I shall get on with that for you in a moment. Just say that if you're enjoying our content on the channel at the moment, please can you like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much, everyone, for doing that. And I hope you have a lovely, lovely Christmas Friday as well. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Right, going to start off with the current situation in the stratosphere at 10 HPA over the Arctic and the North Pole. So the black line shows where temperatures have been and where we currently are at 10 HPA in the stratosphere versus the grey line, which of course is our long-term 30-year trend. So very close to average, really, with the temperature at 10 HPA, a little bit below par. Well, at this point of the year, we should be somewhere around minus 70. We're probably somewhere about minus 73, something like that. So it's slightly colder than average, but not particularly dramatically so. At 30 HPA, that's how things are looking, a little bit more dramatic there. At this point in the year, you know, by the end of the term, we should be somewhere about minus 75. We're actually about minus 82. Minus 83 at 30 HPA. And of course, that's closer to the troposphere, so that might be helping to explain why we've got quite a strong stratospheric polar vortex at the moment. Let's have a look at the forecast from the GFS. So the blue and purple colours, these are the cold temperatures at 10 HPA over the Arctic and over the North Pole in the stratosphere. So let's see what happens over the next few days. We're going to get a bit of a warming gathering pace over Siberia as So sorry everyone, as we go into the new year, about a week's time, we've got a slight warming taking place over Siberia there. And then going into the more extended range with this GFS run, that warming actually intensifies by around day 10 or just beyond it, becoming quite a significant warming, just a little bit shy of the sort of temperature, but I would say constitutes a sudden stratospheric warming. But nevertheless, that is really quite a significant pickup in the temperature. Put the polar vortex under pressure as well. So by the 10th of January, we see that the stratospheric polar vortex is being displaced over towards North America and Canada and into Northern Europe as well. Now, check out what happens after that. We actually get a slight split of the polar vortex. Notice that we have two lows sort of pulling apart here. As we get in towards the 12th of January. So by then, that first lobe of blue has gone off towards the Pacific, and the main part of the polar vortex, though, is still well shooting business over Northern Europe and into Russia and Siberia, warming over Canada and over the Pacific side of North America and out into the North Atlantic as well. That's a very significant warming of the stratosphere that we see there. Whether that will quite be enough to become a sudden stratospheric warming, I'm not sure, despite, you know, that slight split of the polar vortex that we see there. I think overall, the polar vortex is still in business over Northern Europe and into western parts of Russia as well. So it's an interesting one, and, you know, it's kind of on a knife edge whether that would be classified as an SSW. It probably wouldn't reverse the zone of wind, I don't think. So I think that would fall somewhere short of, like, a proper sudden stratospheric warming event. But it is a significant development, I think, that the GFS is forecasting there. Let's quickly go through the GFS ensemble, see how many of them are doing anything like that. So this is the control run. Again, we're starting on the 4th of January, quite a significant warming over Siberia then, and that develops like that. So by the 12th of January, no sort of split PB, but still one shooting in business there. On solar member number 1, looks like that. So more intense with warming over Siberia around the 7th of January. Double warming to the south of the polar vortex, well over Europe. So by the 12th of January, the PV looking very, very stretched. It wouldn't take much more, I don't think, to split the PV there. Very stretched PV by the 12th of January of ensemble member number 1. Ensemble member number 2 looks like that. I won't review all of them, so you just make your own minds up and go through. That's how ensemble member number 2 is looking. Ensemble member number 3 is looking like that. Ensemble member number 4, that's more significant with stratospheric warming, displays of the polar vortex to Canada, North America, and the North Atlantic by the 12th of January. Ensemble member number 5 looks like that. Ensemble member number 6 looking like that. Ensemble member number 7 happens to look like that. Go for a warming more focus on the Atlantic, actually, so that's quite an interesting ensemble member. Ensemble member number 8 looking like that. Ensemble member number 9 looks like that. Ensemble member number 10 doing that. Ensemble member number 12 doing that. They're all going for quite a significant warming of the stratosphere, but most of them falling short of a SSW, I think, up to the 12th of January. Anyway, that's how ensemble member number 13 is looking. Ensemble member number 14 doing that. Ensemble member number 15 looks like that. They're all quite significant, aren't they? But all just short of an SSW up to the 12th. You know, whether they would develop beyond that, though, we can't say. But up to the 12th of January, most of them, I think, are keeping the polar vortex in business, really. Which is very similar to what happened last winter with these repeated sort of minor warmings of the stratosphere. You'll remember that, I'm quite sure. And we did eventually get to an SSW, but it happened quite late on, had more of an impact on the spring, really, than it did on the winter. Ensemble member number 20, looks like that. Most of them aren't going as far with the PV being put under pressure, by the way, as the operational run did. So the operational run might be a little bit of an outlier in terms of the way, but it really was pressuring the stratospheric polar vortex. This is ensemble member number 22, ensemble member number 23 doing that, ensemble member number 24 looks like that, ensemble member number 25, come in on ensemble member number 25, doing that. Quite significant over Siberia. That could develop into an SSW, you know, a few days further on. Ensemble member number 26, looks like that. Ensemble member number 27. Looks like that. Ensemble member number 28 looking like that. Quite stretched by 12th of January of that ensemble member with a PV really being put under pressure by that point. Ensemble member number 29 looking like that. And ensemble member number 30 finally looking like that. Again, PV being stretched a little bit there and displaced. Right, so that's how the ensemble members are looking. Most of them not going as far, putting the PV under pressure as the operational run did, as the GFS operational run did. That said, most of them are going for quite significant warming for stratosphere, but could develop later on, you know, a few days further out into an SSW. We would have to wait and see about that. So that's how the GFS looking. Now, that's all GFS data. This is how the ECM weekly anomalies are looking. Temperature at 10 HPA. So at the moment, it's actually quite cold at 10 HPA over Siberia and over North Pole. That's week 1, 30th December, 6th January. Week 2 looks like that. There's the warming we've just been talking about within the GFS. That's appearing also on the ECM weeklies as well. That's week 3, 13th to 20th of January. By then, the warming has gone round to the Pacific and Canadian side of the North Pole. just getting into the pole a little bit as well. Displacement of the polar vortex here into northern Europe, North Atlantic, and eastern parts of North America. That's week 3 to 20th, 27th of January. By then, the warming kind of focused on Canada, really, with the PB looking like it's being displaced more towards Russia and Siberia, if anything. That is week 4. By then, the weekly anomalies, the signal is weakening quite a bit. That's week 5. It's the 3rd through to the 10th of January. Whether we would ever get to an SSW in that sort of early to mid-January phase, particularly around here, you know, is open to question. As these were moderately short of an SSW, put in the scale. So for an SSW, genuine SSW, I think we've got to go into this deepest red or pink shading and to the yellows. So when the yellows turn up, which won't be very often, but when the yellows turn up on these anomaly maps, they will be genuine SSW type temperatures. So we're short of that on this prediction, but it is quite a significant it is quite a significant warming of the stratosphere that we're seeing there. This is how the zone wind is looking for the next 6 weeks as well, from the ECM. So overall, keeping the zone wind positive. These blue lines just here are going for a reversal of zone wind. So these ensemble blue members will be going for genuine SSW. Most of the ECM ensemble blue members are weakening the stratospheric polar vortex from like a record-breakingly strong level, such as we see at the moment, to something more modest by the middle of January. But most of them are keeping the stratospheric polar vortex well and truly in business. And if we go back a week to last Thursday, you can see there's been very little progress made in terms of the number of ensemble blue members that are going for a reversal zone winds. That's the forecast of Thursday, the 19th of September. This is the forecast from Thursday, the 26th of September. Very little progress over the past week in terms of the number of ensemble blue members that are going for a genuine reversal of zonal winds. So it remains to be seen. We are seeing quite significant warming of the stratosphere. We will be seeing quite significant warming of the stratosphere if forecasts are right through the second week of January. Over Siberia, it looks like it could put the polar vortex, stratospheric polar vortex, under a bit of pressure. Whether we would ever get to a proper SSW with that, you know, just got to wait and see. Right, now, as I say, we are reviewing past winters for Strat Watch this season. And this week, we're doing the daddy of cold winters. 6263 from a stratospheric development point of view. Starting on the 1st of November, the blue colours are, of course, cold temperatures at 10 HPA over Arctic and over North Pole. Go through the 10th of November. And blue colours weren't truly established there. 15th of November. Looks like that. A bit of a warming at 10 HPA over on the Siberian and Pacific side of the Arctic. But otherwise, the blue colours continue at 10 HPA. Now, November 1962 is quite interesting because it did have stratospheric warming, actually, a very early stratospheric warming. And that actually occurred over Canada. And also, interestingly and unusually, it happened at 30 HPA, which of course we can't see from these charts, because it's looking at 10 HPA further up in the stratosphere. So the warming at 30 HPA that happened over Canada in November 1962 does not show on these charts. So that's a bit of a shame. But anyway, that was one of the interesting and very unique factors about the daddy of cold winters, 62-63. But it did have a very, very early warming event that occurred over Canada, which is the usual place to have that happen. It happens in November. Typically, it does happen over Canada, and it happened at 30 HPA, which is something else that tends to happen if you have a very, very early warming of the stratosphere in November. That's the situation on the 30th of November. Right, let's get through to the daddy itself then. So this is how we begin the winter of 62-63 from a stratospheric point of view. Polar vortex still well and truly in business, well and truly kicking off there. We're going through to the 5th of November. Again, we see the blue colours well and truly established. Perhaps a little bit displaced towards northern parts of Europe there. Bacardi summer temperatures. But overall, the polar vortex looking fine at 10 HPA. Remember, at 30 HPA, though, it would have been already much weaker. And that's 10 HPA, 10% I should say, at 10 HPA, minus 80 now. So quite cold with the stratospheric temperature, probably cold on average, particularly over on the European side of the Arctic and the North Pole. That's the 15th of December. Again, we see polar vortex well and truly established. Maybe a little bit displaced towards Siberia, though, with the coldest of the temperatures. 20th of December looking like that. The winter's about to start kicking off now. No, the winter... Sorry, everyone. There were some modest cold snaps through November and December 62, early December 62. But the real cold winter, the daddy of cold winters began over Christmas on Boxing Day, is where the northerlies set in. So we're getting very close now to the coldest part of the winter. That is the 20th of December. Again, the blue-purple colours well and truly established there. This is Christmas Day of 1962. So this is where it's all kicking off. We see the temperatures have come up at 10 8 p.m. There's a bit of a warming happening over Siberia, but nothing really there, but suggests, what is going on, which is retrogressive high pressure, basically, from Northern Europe up to Greenland. So it could be that the Canadian warming in November was the instigator of that, or, it could be that they're just a decoupling of the stratosphere and the troposphere. I suspect, probably multiple factors were involved in how the winter began. But we go through to, New Year's Eve of 1962. That's how we're looking. This point, of course, the winter well and truly, it's well and truly happening. We're in the grip of a big freeze, and we will remain so until March from this point. And I think there's actually a blizzard going on down across southern England over the New Year 62, 63. That's how it looks stratosphere-wise. So again, the blue-purple colours here over the Arctic and over the North Pole. But we do see a warming of the stratosphere over eastern portions of America and out into the Atlantic, which is quite an unusual place to have a warming stratosphere. And a bit of a warming over Siberia as well. Right, let's get into the new year of 63 then. Oh, there we go. That's... I was going to change the year over. That's how we look on New Year's Day of 1963. So let's run through a few more days, get to the 4th of January. So then we have got, the polar vortex is still there. It's rather weaker than average, I think, but it's still well and truly there at 10 HPA. Warming on either side of it, over America and over Siberia, but short of what we classify as an SSW. Really, that's the 8th of January. Again, polar vortex 1 truly established. So once again, similar to 78 and 79, this winter, nothing's going on from a stratosphere perspective, really, to explain how this winter gets going and, how it's sustained through 1963. Remember, January 1963 had the coldest central England temperature since 1740 for January. It was an extraordinarily cold January. Sub-zero CT month, and again, nothing but 10 HPA explaining how that happens. But remember, there is the warming in November over Canada at 13 HPA, which probably did help to instigate the winter. That's the 13th of January. No sign of an SSW up to that point. 18th of January. Now things are beginning to look a bit more interesting. So the PB being stretched here with one lobe looking like going over towards East America, another down towards northern parts of Europe, and slight warming, not SSW level warming, but slight warmings on either side. Let's go through the 20th of January 63. So PB looking very ragged by this point, warming gathering pace over eastern portions of America. Is this going to be an SSW in the daddy of cold winter? Well, that warming really strengthening here over Canada and up to Greenland by the 22nd of January. PB being pushed to its absolute limits by then 23rd of January. The warming intensifying further over Canada. Interesting that the SSW in this winter happens over Canada 10 HPA happens over Canada, and we also have that earlier warming over Canada in November at 30 HPA. That is 24th January. PV has split now. We've got one lobe of blue heading off towards the Pacific side of the Arctic, another lobe sinking down into western parts of Russia and towards the Black Sea. No full split and reversal of the polar vortex is taking place at this point. That's the 25th of January. Major SSW focused on Canada and Greenland, and this of course helps to keep winter going. So without this, maybe February 63 would have gone a lot milder, who knows, and we might have a different view of winter 62, 63. We would have had the bitterly cold and snowy Christmas and New Year. We would have had a sub-zero CT January, regardless of these developments anyway. But potentially this helps to draw the winter out, through February and into March, maybe. Who knows? That's the 27th. Who knows if that would have happened anyway. This is the 27th of January. Again, we see very, very significant sudden stratospheric warming over North America, Canada, and up to the Arctic as well. It's done everything that you want an SSW to do. So it's split the polar vortex, it's reversed the zone of wind, etc., etc., etc. That's 28th of January, with major SSW happening in the heart of the daddy of the cold winters, 62, 63. 29th of January are looking like that. So the wind would undoubtedly have reversed at this point. And that's the 31st of January, 63. A very, very significant stratospheric warming, sun stratospheric warming has taken place there. Just go through February. So, of course, the winds begin to ease down now, but the damage has been done, and we go on to the 5th of January looking like that. 10th of February, I should say, looks like that. Temperatures starting to come down, but zone winds have already reversed, and now we will be getting the tropospheric response, which is to keep the blocking going within the high latitudes. That's the 19th of January, February, I should say, go through to the 28th of February, and we look like that. So there was a sudden stratospheric warming, very similar to 78, 79, really, from a stratospheric development point of view at 10 HPA. There was a genuine SSW that happened during the daddy of cold winters. It happened in the second half of January, and it would have reversed the zone of wind. It split polar vortex, it did everything SSW would do, but it doesn't explain the daddy of cold winters entirely, because that happens late on in January, and there'd already been over a month of severely cold and very snowy conditions, leading up to that across the northern parts of Europe. So it probably helps draw out the winter, but it doesn't explain how the winter got going, and it doesn't really explain, the coldest period of the winter, which was January 1963. As I say, there was that very unusual warming of the stratosphere that occurred over Canada at 30 HPA in November. Maybe that was an instigator. Maybe that helped to explain, how the winter started. But again, just goes to highlight that we have had very, very severely cold weather without an SSW preceding it. If we get if we get a decoupling, if you like, of the stratosphere and the troposphere. Which is something we know anyway. Right, okay, well, that's Strat Watch episode 4, done and dusted. We've brought you up to date with all the latest developments, and we've reviewed winter of 62, 63 as well, from a stratospheric point of view. We're going to be back a little bit later on, today the 14th day. Don't think we're doing JMA Friday today, so we will probably roll that over to next week, but we are going to do a 10 to 14 day, so come back for that a little bit later on. But for Strat Watch episode 4, that's all for now. But so much for watching, and see you again with more very, very soon. Bye for now.